What's up, my fellow Juventini? I hope you are doing well tonight, wherever you are in this world. Finally, the football is back, even though it's just in Germany. But my man here, Marcin, already watched the Bayern game, so he's pretty happy tonight.
Yep.
My name is Roman, and you have arrived at the Juve Therapy YouTube channel. If you're here for the very first time, please hit that subscribe button and make sure to comment or like this video. So this particular series is called My Best 11. The premiere was uploaded last week with Giuseppe from Just Juve and Juve Show giving me his best 11 with no Juve players involved, and it was quite a task, so be sure to check that video out as well. Tonight, however, I am joined, as I said, by Marcin from Top Bins Talk. Welcome, Marcin.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing fine. So if you are a Twitter person, you might also recognize him through his which is at @PLJuventino. And his task tonight is to unveil what he thinks is the craziest starting lineup ever. Marcin, was it tough?
It was. It was definitely difficult when it came to midfielders and attackers, just because there's so many names that I could have kind of plugged in and had a crazy moment or a crazy story for one of those players. But yeah, that midfield and attack was very fun to figure out which names I wanted to put in there.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear the lineup. So we are talking about 11 players who are or have been somewhat controversial during their career on the pitch or off the pitch. It was really up to Marcin to decide. So, of course, the juicier, the better. So let's start off. Let's kick it off with your formation. And yeah, what is it?
Sure. So I use the 4-3-1-2 formation.
4-3-1-2. So you have two strikers, basically.
Two strikers, yes.
All right. No wingers. I like it.
No wingers, yes. It was a tough decision because I had a couple wingers that I really wanted to use, but I had to narrow it down.
Oh, wow. This is getting more excited. So we're just starting it slowly with your goalkeeper. Let's go for it. Tell me the name and why is he on your list?
Sure. So I'm going to start. This is probably the one name on here that most people are not going to expect me to call. But if you know me, since I'm Polish, this is one of my countrymen. So I'm going with ARTUR BORUC.
Wow.
Who's the goalkeeper currently for Bournemouth. Backup goalkeeper at this point in his career. Mm-hmm. So ARTUR got into my starting 11 over a couple players, most notably like Jens Lehmann for his notable peeing on the side of the goal moment that he had back in the day. But ARTUR BORUC made my list for a couple of reasons. One is he had a huge controversy when he was playing for Celtic with the Rangers fans. He was dubbed the Holy Goalie because if you know the whole rivalry between Celtic and Rangers, it's very religious, obviously. ARTUR BORUC is a very religious person. He's Catholic, obviously, like most Polish people are. And he would always bless himself in the away section right in front of the Rangers fans.
Ooh.
So, yeah, if you know that story, there's definitely tons of videos of him getting a lot of abuse and a lot of flack for his celebration. There's been also a couple of the reasons why he's on this list. He got into multiple fights with his teammates at Celtic, including Aidan McKeady. So there's been some in-between teammates scuffles for ARTUR BORUC. He most notably was also on my list just because he had like the world of potential at his feet and when it came to his ability as a goalkeeper, especially when he moved to Celtic. But he was never in the best shape. So if you looked at like photos of him, he was always like a little bit out of shape and he looked like more like a Sunday league goalkeeper than a professional class goalie. And so I thought like the sky was the limit with him when he was actually like in his prime of his career, but he never took like football seriously. He was always out partying, drinking, which obviously wasn't really the best for a footballer to do every single night. So ARTUR BORUC made my starting 11 for those reasons.
Well, I can see that it's well deserved. No doubt. Wow, what a perfect start. Okay, so BORUC makes your starting goalkeeper. Your left back.
So my left back is going to be Ashley Cole.
Wow. No surprise, really. Or is it?
No, I don't know. I mean, he's had some weird moments.
Tell me, why is he there?
So Ashley Cole made my list for a couple reasons. One is most notably he's known as a very selfish player and very like about himself and wanting more money and more contracts. He's also on my list because of the whole cheating on his wife scandal that he had about a decade ago. So that made a big portion of my list. And then the third reason, I think the most notable reason, is he actually fired a rifle at staff of Chelsea just for fun, because he was bored one day at the training ground. So Ashley Cole made my list just for that story in particular. He fired it was like an airsoft rifle, fires like BBs, like little pellets, and he just started firing it at staff at the Chelsea training ground. So that story
randomly.
kind of just randomly, because he said he was bored and he just wanted something to do at the training ground.
Wow.
So he brought an airsoft gun and he started firing at Chelsea staff. So for that reason, he made my list.
Wow.
It was pretty funny.
All right, let's move on. Right back.
So my right back. So I tried to finagle this into the starting 11. So my right back is Sergio Ramos.
Okay.
So I worked Ramos into the starting 11, more for on the pitch crazy, more than off the pitch crazy. Obviously, Ramos is one of the best defenders in the world, but his tendency to get yellow carded and even more so red carded kind of solidified his position in my starting 11. The amount of fouls that guy commits and just how aggressive he plays the game is very, very much a reason why he's on it. And Chiellini, if you saw his recent comments about the Mo Salah incident from the Champions League, that he could have broken his arm, and that was very tactical of Ramos to pull that maneuver on Salah. It just shows you that the guy is a very aggressive player, and he knows what he's doing, and he gets these yellow and red cards. And I think sometimes they're a little bit more premeditated than we like to think. But yeah, I think Ramos definitely deserves to be on this list because of his on the pitch crazy.
That's cynical, and that's Ramos for you. But of course, yeah, well deserved. Again, 3 names, 3 crazies. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Your center back.
So I have 2 center backs in this formation. One of them is going to be for the same reason as Ramos, and that's going to be Pepe from the Portuguese center back.
Yeah.
So Pepe, for the same exact reasons as Ramos, makes my list. He's been known for on the field crazy, with his reckless and very aggressive style of defending, especially his whole incident of him intentionally kicking one of his opponents and getting suspended for 8 matches.
Yeah, I remember that.
Years ago. So Pepe definitely makes my list for on the pitch crazy. Literally the exact same reasons as Ramos, with his tendency to be very aggressive with his yellow and red card accumulation over the last few years.
two Real Madrid players, actually. They played at the same time as well. So that's lovely.
It was a very aggressive defense that Real Madrid had.
True. And your last center back.
Sure. So my other center back is going to be John Terry.
Wow, that's interesting.
So John Terry makes my list for a couple of reasons, and that's most notably his off the pitch whole cheating scandal. So that definitely makes my list. Same kind of reasons as I had with ARTUR. He was very known as a playboy in the dressing room, and kind of like a guy that liked to go out and go have a good time, if you know what I mean. So yeah, and that with the whole cheating scandal and the whole rift that he had within the Chelsea locker room, even though he was a great player on the pitch and more clean on the pitch, if you want to call it that. But yeah, his problems with his teammates and his affair definitely kind of made my list for those reasons into my starting 11.
For those who don't know, this affair you're talking about is about the wife to Wayne Bridge. Is it correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And of course, if any of these players are watching this right now, this is only for fun. So please don't hunt Marcin down. This is just for kicks. Yeah.
We're just having a good time here.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you have your back line. Let's go with your 3 midfielders. Let's start. Well, it's up to you, really. Who do you want to start with?
Sure. So my first midfielder, and this is probably one that everybody should expect on this list, is GENNARO Gattuso. So Gattuso obviously makes my list for, I think it's kind of self-explanatory, just all his crazy comments that he says to the media, the crazy stories from his training ground incidents, from just speaking with other players, his funny comments now as a manager of Napoli. So obviously Gattuso had a very big mean streak of being a very hard-nosed player, and kind of along the same lines of what I mentioned before with Pepe and with Ramos. just being very, very aggressive on the pitch and just getting into referees' faces and shouting and yelling. That's just his personality. And I think we see that now still as he's a manager, which you're expected to be a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more laid back as a manager. And I think he's gotten even more fired up and more angry.
Yeah. Do you remember the time when he choked almost the assistant manager to Tottenham?
Yeah, I do remember that. That's he has a lot of those kind of stories. So I can kind of go on and on about all the incidents that he's had with former players and staff at Milan, but yeah, we could be here for another 45 minutes.
Well, please continue. Your next one.
Sure. So my next one is going to be Nigel de Jong.
Nigel de Jong.
Yes. And Nigel de Jong makes my list also because of his notorious kung fu kick on Xabi Alonso in the World Cup. That was probably one of the big moments that really solidified it for me. Same reason as a couple other players. Like I said, this list is kind of like half crazy, half on the pitch crazy. So he kind of makes that on the pitch crazy side of it. But yeah, another overly aggressive midfielder. Just loved to get stuck into tackles and just really kind of loved playing that aggressive style as a defensive midfielder. But yeah, that kung fu kick, I don't think I'll ever forget that. Just him just flying in midair, just like a ninja, just kicking Xabi Alonso in the ribs.
Wow.
So that moment will be like kind of like embedded in my brain forever. I always remember that.
That moment just made him to this list, basically. If he wasn't for that moment, he probably would have been like on the bench or something.
Yeah, probably on the bench. Definitely would have made the bench. But yeah, that moment just really stuck out to me, and it's something that like I remember watching that live, and I was like, wow, did he just really like kick him in the chest? It was just an insane moment to see live.
Mm-hmm. And the last one,
Robbie Keane.
You mean Roy Keane, like from United?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So Roy Keane obviously makes my my list for his brawls against his teammates, his fights, his fight against Patrick Vieira is another one that I have that I always remember. He was another one of those guys that just really liked to get aggressive and just to fight players on the pitch. He was kind of one of those guys, same kind of mold like De Jong, and yeah, there you go.
There we go.
If you read that book, I'm sure he's going to explain a lot of it.
Yeah, I read it, and yeah, he is full on crazy. Oh yeah.
So yeah, Roy Keane is definitely pretty self-explanatory if you watched a lot of football when it comes to his fighting and his aggression and his comments off the pitch. So he definitely makes my list for pretty safely. He was probably one of the first ones I had written down for this.
Sure. Yeah. Wow. Gattuso, De Jong, and Roy Keane. Wow.
Very tough midfield to get past.
You wouldn't want to do that. Yeah, you wouldn't want to be like a dribbling kind of player.
No, not at all. You're going to leave that game with either a broken shin or your ankle's not going to be attached to you at the end of it.
Yeah, be carried away. All right. So as far as I understand, you have one like behind the strikers, so offensive midfield. Is that correct?
Yes, I do.
I'm excited. Who is that?
It is Diego Maradona.
Wow. No way. I thought he was a clean guy. Never did anything wrong.
Oh.
Tell me why, for those who don't know.
Yes. So Diego Maradona, for those who don't know, had a long time use of drugs, especially cocaine. So that's what he's very much known for. There was actually a video of him. I don't know if this was last year or 2 years ago. I think there was a video of him trying to do cocaine on the bench as he was a manager, and like the staff tried to like hide it behind the camera. It was just like a really funny moment to like watch.
I remember that.
When you were watching the replay, it was just like the staff noticed what he was doing and they just stand up and stand right in front of the camera. But yeah, like Diego Maradona definitely has his drug use. He's notorious also for having connections with mafia. That's another big reason why he made my list. And there was a cool story that I kind of dug up that one time he wanted some privacy from reporters that were following them. So he did the same thing that Ashley Cole did, and he fired a BB gun at them to get away from them so they could respect, quote unquote, respect his privacy. So they could leave him alone. So yeah, Diego Maradona definitely made my list. For drug use, the mafia links, and the firing gun at reporters to respect his privacy. Although he was a great player. Obviously.
Yeah, what a player. I was about to say, what a player.
One of the best of all time, but yeah, a little bit more off the pitch crazy when it came to Maradona.
As I said, if you didn't watch the Giuseppe one, his best 11. Maradona, well, is there. So for the different reasons, of course, because he was one of the absolute world's best ever. But imagine what could have happened with him if he hadn't been that bad boy off the pitch, right? It could have been absolutely different.
I mean, he had some on the pitch moments also. He got into a lot of fights on the pitch. He had the hand of God.
Hand of God, yeah.
So that was a very big controversial on the pitch moment for him. But yeah, Maradona had his fair share of on the pitch and off the pitch crazy for sure.
Yeah. The strikers, I'm not gonna say anything, but I think I know who one of them is. Mm-hmm. But yeah, let's start with one of them.
So one of them is gonna be. I'm gonna go with the other one that you don't think.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be Luis Suarez.
Okay, yeah, I'll buy it. All right.
So Luis Suarez.
I'll buy it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So obviously, kind of what you just mentioned, the one of the reasons why Suarez made my list is the whole biting of Chiellini incident, and that's not the only and first time he's bitten a player either. So there's multiple incidents like that. But another big reasons why he made my list is the whole Patrice Evra controversy fight that they had a couple years ago.
Oh yeah.
When he was at Liverpool and Patrice Evra was at Manchester United, and there was what Evra claims was racial slurs used against him by Suarez. And then he told the referee about that, and the referee obviously had a conversation with them. But then in the next match, Patrice Evra wouldn't shake Suarez's hand next time they met. So you had that whole kind of issue of like the mutual disrespect between the two players, because obviously Suarez has been known to use some racial slurs against Patrice, and also dating back to his time at Ajax in the Eredivisie. So that also made my list. But yeah, like the whole biting of Chiellini incident. There's been a few players that he's bitten over time.
Yeah.
So yeah, Suarez definitely made my list for more on the pitch crazy moments than off the pitch crazy moments.
And tendency to dive.
Yes, very much so. That's a big reason why I don't like him. Is he was definitely easy as a striker. He was definitely easy to go to ground for sure.
Yeah. His partner. And can I just say, could it be Mario?
It is.
It is Mario. Oh, wow.
It is Mario Balotelli. That is my last striker.
This is the guy who has so many stories, so many crazies.
Yeah.
Where to begin?
Yeah, exactly. Where to begin? There's the fireworks in his hotel room story, because another one where he was just bored one night and decided to set off fireworks in his house. There's the one moment that I'll never forget is when it was in that preseason friendly when he was back in Manchester City, and he tried that back heel goal in a friendly, and Mancini instantly took him off and just chewed into him. And that like moment is always going to be something that I'm gonna remember about Mario Balotelli. But yeah, there's obviously all the red cards. There's the issues of on the field fighting. I think the only time that he didn't really have too many controversies was his time in Nice. Where he actually was relatively quiet and a little bit more laid back. But yeah, his transfers from Milan to Inter, to Merida was obviously really controversial, swapping out the Milan shirts. Yeah, just obviously there's controversy that follows him today. He's always, obviously earlier, he had those comments that, like the league had to stop once Juve players got tested positive. It just so happened that it favors Juve. So he's still making comments and controversial statements to this day, but I think he could have been definitely a world-class player if he kind of kept his head on his shoulders a little bit more. Definitely could have had a lot better of a career in terms of his on-the-pitch performance if he wasn't always suspended or not playing because for one reason or another. But yeah, Balotelli was pretty much a lock as soon as you told me to make a crazy playlist.
Yeah, for sure. I remember when he was the famous video with Jose Mourinho, when Mourinho got interviewed about Mario.
Yeah.
Champions League game. And they had no strikers on the bench, and Mario was on a yellow before halftime. So he told Mario, "Don't do anything stupid. Do not kick the ball. If the ref blows against you, do not say anything." And 5 or 6 minutes later, off.
Yeah, I think Mourinho said that he spent 14 minutes out of the 15-minute break just talking to Mario, not to get red carded, and then he comes on and in the next 5 minutes and gets sent off. So yeah, that's a pretty funny story that Mourinho had about Balotelli for sure.
All right. So your starting 11. This is a lovely, lovely bunch of guys, huh? Well done, Marcin.
Thank you.
This is,
It was a fun and tough challenge for sure.
as I asked Giuseppe after he unveiled his 11, who would coach this team? And by coach, I mean, do you have an equally crazy coach out there who can, well, complement these guys?
Di Canio. Yeah, Di Canio for more some of his off the pitch ideals. He's a known fascist. He admires Mussolini. He has some questionable tattoos.
Yeah, he does.
For sure. So I think Di Canio would definitely be my manager. Just obviously his on the pitch antics also aside, and his ideals off the pitch. So I think he kind of combines both what I wanted, the crazy on the pitch and the crazy off the pitch into one guy. So I think
and he played for Juve actually.
He did play for Juve, yeah. Which I learned a little bit more about in our last episode.
Yeah, exactly. Not so fun.
Yeah, that was a tough one. But yeah, Di Canio would definitely be the coach of the crazies, if you want to call it.
Who didn't make your list? Who would you like to wish you had it there, but they just couldn't make the list because these guys are just full on crazy?
One name that was close was Frank Ribery. I was trying to figure out Frank Ribery into the starting 11, but I just really couldn't. Obviously, he had the whole issue with the underage girls a couple years ago with the.
Yeah.
So that was a big reason why he came close to making my list. So that was very close. Patrice Evra also, like, funnily enough, was also close to making my list because he kind of led the mutiny with the French World Cup team back in 2010. So he kind of made it almost for that reason. So Patrice was close, but I think Ribery was definitely the closest name that I was kind of trying to kind of fit into this lineup. But I really kind of had my pick with Maradona, Suarez, and Balotelli.
It's hard to beat those guys.
For sure.
It's really tough. All right. Again, well done, Marcin. This is your lineup. It's on your screens right now. That's it. That's about it from us. Marcin, before you go, as I said at the beginning, Top Ends Talk. This is your podcast. 10 seconds. Promote it. Go.
So it's me and my best friend talking about football, talking about SerieA, and talking about why we think this is the best sport in the world. It's very easy.
And where do we find you?
So you can find us at Top Bins Talk on Spotify and on iTunes. We also have at Bins Talk on Twitter. So if you want to follow us or give us any suggestions for any topics for our episode, we will be recording one very shortly. So episodes come out bi-weekly now. So now we are on a schedule. So we will be releasing content more regularly moving forward, which is awesome.
Oh, very nice. Please, guys, check that out as well. And follow Marcin on Twitter.
Yep.
My Polish Juventino friend. Enjoy your week, guys. And follow us, of course, as I said, on Twitter, both of us. And follow Juve Therapy on YouTube. I'll see you next weekend for another Top 11, maybe even crazier than this one. We'll see. FinoAllaFine. Ciao.